Welcome to this edition of NEWS9 Live. Supreme Court, in a path-breaking order, has stayed the decision of the Karnataka government. SC directs that the Karnataka government's decision scrapping 4% quota of Muslims will not be implemented till May 9th, which is still the campaigning, the last day of the campaigning. The Supreme Court adjourned the hearing of a petition challenging the Karnataka's government's decision to scrap the 4% reservation provided to them under the other backward class category, which has been in place for almost 3 decades. Now, the hearing is adjourned till May 9. The bench also noted an assurance given by Solicitor General Tushar Mehta that the earlier regime regarding the Muslim quota would remain in effect until the next hearing. And let me take you through the detail. The Karnataka government had issued a government order on March 27 removing the 4% quota for Muslims for other backward caste category. It turned into a campaign. A senior BJP leader in Karnataka said that the politics in Karnataka is Modi versus appeasement. The counsel for the Karnataka government assured the court that it would not take any decision on the appointment or admissions. Now, in the last cabinet meeting ahead of the Karnataka Assembly election, Basavaraj Bommai government had taken this decision. This has turned into an election plank. That 4% was divided into 2%. And that 2% had gone to the Lingayats and the rest went to the Voka-Liggas. Lingayat is the backbone of the Bharatiya Janata Party's politics in Karnataka, and Voka-Liggas are the backbone of Devegowda's party. But this time BJP had set its eye on the Voka-Ligga vote, which means the southern or the greater Mysore region. On this issue, I am joined by my legal editor Ashok Bagaria and our political editor Brijesh Pandey. Just to set the debate, just to set this order, in your opinion, why has court taken this decision?
Well, usually courts pass such a blanket order when they prima facie see merit in the arguments or the petition which has been filed before the Supreme Court of India. Now, in this particular matter, there are a lot of things that have been happening since February when this petition was filed in the Supreme Court. Repeated adjournments were being taken by the Karnataka government. Now, yesterday and today again, when the Solicitor General and the Karnataka government sought an adjournment, an objection was raised by senior advocate Dushyant Dave, who said that for the last 4 occasions, the Karnataka government has been taking simple adjournments, not filing affidavits or clearing its stand on the issue of scrapping 4% reservation for Muslims under the OBC quota. So here the situation today is that on one hand, we are just at the threshold of assembly elections in Karnataka, and this 4% OBC reservations for Muslims under the OBC quota, which has been scrapped, was redistributed to Lingayats and Voka-Ligga communities, probably to pacify the communities, these communities which constitute an important vote bank for the Bharatiya Janata Party. Now today, the Supreme Court said that they are going to stay the Karnataka government's order which scrapped 4% reservations for Muslims under the OBC quota. This came after the Solicitor General of India, Mr. Tushar Mehta, gave an oral promise, made an oral promise to
Ashok,
the,
on 14th of April, I would like to read this out to you. The Supreme Court said that the government order is based on completely fallacious assumption, quote unquote. Prima facie, the order passed appears to suggest that the foundation of a decision making is shaky. Justice K.M. Joseph. Why did he say that?
Well, see, basically, when you include or exclude any community from the other backward classes, there has to be a data on the basis of which you can take such a decision. It cannot happen at the mere whims and fancies of the government in power, that saying that, okay, this is a thing that has been going on for the last 30 years, and we today decide at the threshold of the Karnataka Assembly elections, we decide that we are going to scrap this reservation. Now, this particular matter had come to Supreme Court in February, and the matter was referred to a constitution bench. And there, the issue raised, exactly the same issue, one of the Muslim parties who approached the Supreme Court said that there is no verifiable data with the Karnataka government to scrap these reservations which has been there for the Muslims for the last 30 years.
Okay, and let me ask this question to you before I shift my debate on the political ground to my friend Brijesh. Isn't it correct that under Indian constitution, the reservations in backward category is only for Hindus who are SCs and STs? It is not given to the Muslims?
Well, the constitution basically envisages three types of reservations. First for scheduled castes, second for scheduled tribes, and the third for other backward castes. Now, as far as the other backward castes are concerned, traditionally the other backward castes have been Hindus, and they have largely got the benefit of this OBC reservation. It was the Karnataka government who 30 years back said, no, we are going to cut across religious lines and extend the benefit of this reservations to Muslims also.
But what about Dalit Hindus? Tamil Nadu mein hota hai, Dalit Christians, that opens up the Pandora box.
Of course, there is a parallel petition which is pending before the Supreme Court where Dalit Christians, Dalit Muslims have also approached the Supreme Court saying that, you know, there is a strange situation in the country where these people have converted from Hinduism to other religions like Christianity and Islam. But there is a peculiar setup in the Indian subcontinent where the saying, jati hai par jati nahi, in the sense that even if you have converted to another religion, the caste system grip is so strong that it doesn't go. So these are very socially sensitive matters which are pending before the Supreme Court. The Dalit Christian, Dalit Muslim issue is also before the Supreme Court. This issue of 4% reservation, you see, the 4% reservation is more tricky because some 30 years back, the government decided that we are going to give 5% reservations to the Muslims. Now suddenly 30 years later, you wake up and say that, okay, we don't think that these Muslims need 4% reservation, we are going to scrap it completely. But that scrapping also has to be based on some data. There has to be a data to suggest that in the last 30 years, these Muslim communities who have got the benefit of reservation have so benefited that they have moved up the social stratum.
Okay.
And that's why they do not need reservation.
Okay. So now the question is, will this give a fillip to Bharatiya Janata Party? Because Amit Shah and other leaders had been saying that it's Modi versus appeasement. That became the tagline. Now, how will this play out in Karnataka, Rajesh?
Well, it was a very astute move on the part of the state government where, they came up with this thing that Modi versus appeasement, and how it was also seen as, very good in certain quarters where a reservation was taken from Muslims and 2% was divided between Vokalingas and Lingayats. The fact is that it did not create the kind of resonance which the BJP party would have wanted. And with the Supreme Court of India staying the order of the government and, staying the order till 9th of May, and the very next day there is voting. So I don't think that the issue will gather the kind of fillip or momentum which the BJP was expecting, and but they would want to again convey to the electorate that this is what we wanted to do. We have actually went ahead and we have done this thing. But the fact also remains that that there was not that much of resonance from the ground saying that this particular act by the Karnataka government, Basavaraj Bommai's government, was what do you call a master stroke or something which can tilt the caste calculus decisively in favor of the BJP.
But then, in this case, do you feel that since the 2% quota to the Gaudas and the Lingayats will not now come into place, is it going to impact the opposition adversely?
It's not going to impact the opposition adversely, because there are also various subsections which are at play. It is not a very clean, there are reservations under section 2A, there are reservations under section 2D. The Lingayat said that we are not happy with this 2% reservation because it comes under a certain subsection, and this is not the subsection which we're looking for. It's a very tricky issue. It's not like you say 2% and everybody erupts in joy and everything changes. It changes the political discourse for you. The BJP on its part, every political party would want to win the election, and the BJP thought that by scrapping 4% quota for the Muslim and dividing it between Lingayats and Vokalingas will tilt the balance scale in their favor. But I don't think that is going to play a major role.
What do you think is going to happen in the court going by the Orbiter dictas?
Well,
I know it's like reading the wind, sensing the moisture in air, but generally, even the politics in Maharashtra isn't boiled because of the Orbiter dictas of the previous case of Mr. Shinde.
well, it's very difficult to read the mind of the judges, or assume that which way the judges will decide on an issue. However, in this particular case, the judges have spoken their mind. On an earlier occasion, Justice Joseph has spoken his mind and said that the Karnataka government's decision appears to be on a shaky ground and appears to be flawed because they have not provided
I'll just stop you for a minute. We are joined by senior journalist Vijay Grover. Mr. Grover, am I audible to you?
Yes, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Mr. Grover. How does it impact Karnataka? What happens now? Who gets the upper hand
Well, see, as far
after
as-
this?
Well, see, as far as this particular issue is concerned, the way this has been hurriedly pushed through very clearly shows that the government of B.S. Bommai wanted to actually send a political message more than actually try to do something concrete. It knew very well, and the way it sent a reply in the Supreme Court also said that it cannot be passed the way it is being done. So clearly there was a political statement of polarization which seems to be emerging from this, that you're trying to please the Vokaligas and the Lingayats by taking the
Sir, you have to unmute yourself. I think there's a bit of a problem with the audio. Yes,
is that,
he's back with us.
one state. This is also an issue which is in Telangana. This is an issue which is in Kerala. This is an issue which is in Tamil Nadu, and will have to be addressed uniformly, because if you were to hear talk of the Muslim quota, we have the similar Dalit Christian quota issue which is being discussed in Tamil Nadu and Kerala also. So why and how will the government or the Supreme Court take cognizance of that is something that needs to be very crucially taken. So now when this issue has been put on hold, while this implementation will depend on the Karnataka government, which comes into power later on in May, but Supreme Court certainly will have to take the petitions and the pleas of the Dalit Christians, the way M.K. Stalin has taken up that case and said that the evidence need to be extended to them and cannot be taken away from them. So, it is going to get into a national issue, and I'm sure Supreme Court should once for all take a call on this, because if this is a case, and the way we have the Lingayats who are seeking that, the Lingayats are a separate religion, can separate reservation be given for Lingayats who are now demanding, or there is a petition pending in the Supreme Court saying that Lingayatism is a separate religion and not a part of the Hindu fold. So this is where this entire issue gets into a larger debate, a bigger debate, and I'm sure it will be something which will be discussed not just in the State Assembly but at the Parliament and the Supreme Court level to come to a final conclusion on this.
The final conclusion. Do you feel that with this, Siddaramaiah, D.K. Kumar at least will gain an upper hand in the political narrative?
Well, see, fact is, as I told you, this was more of political jingoism, the way it was done. The way the Muslims have moved from 2B to 3C category of reservations that will be in the economic weaker section, where also there is protest from the Brahmins, because in the economic weaker sections, you will now find that the Muslim kids or, the Muslims are contesting with the Brahmins of the poor economic section. So clearly, even there is unhappiness as far as this issue is concerned. The fact that it has been put on hold will be a relief for everybody. And the BJP was looking at it as a trump card to be able to, score brownie points, saying that, we're giving 2% extra to Vokalikas and Lingayats, the two major castes in Karnataka. The fact is that the Banjaras and the others who will now find the Muslims shifting into the same 10% category that they've been fighting for is actually made them happy. And if you remember, there was immediately after the decision was made, there was stone pelting on B.S. Yediyurappa's house in Shimoga, that people were unhappy that, their quota they had to share with one more community, which is 17% of the population. So clearly, there is a sense of relief in the people and the parties. But the fact is that this trump card that Bommai was hoping would give it both the Lingayat and the Vokalika votes certainly doesn't seem to be working at the moment.
Okay. And I'm also joined by Mr. Sandeep Puranik, political analyst. Chambi Puranik. Sorry, sir, Mr. Chambi Puranik. Sir, how do you welcome, sir. How do you see this development in Karnataka? This is like a bolt from the blue. I think a little unexpected on part of the Karnataka government. They must be thinking now what next.
Yeah, the Karnataka government was trying to take advantage of this redistribution of reservation and pruning here and adding there, and that kind of appeasement politics, the major community. Normally appeasement takes place for the minor communities and other neglected sections, etc., as vote banks. So also major communities, they have, because of the Panchamshali agitation, the kind of threat that was there for Bommai government, because it's a prominent Lingayat sect within the Veerashaiva Lingayat general fold. So therefore, in the issue of removing 4%, which was given by Devegowda government, did that. Then putting them under the EW quota, I think was a matter of bone of contention. But Amit Shah has been repeatedly telling, being a home minister, that the constitution doesn't permit reservation for religious minorities, etc. But in the case of other states also, they have gone ahead with this kind of reservation beyond the limit prescribed by Constitution, as well as, matters have been taken to the court also. Now that the court has put on hold, perhaps, there is a need for this kind of populistic or kind of motivated reservation policies that are given. So therefore, I think the court has to give its kind of observations and final verdict, which will definitely clear the matter. But there is a gray area. Definitely, this anxiety was there. But I interacted with many Muslims. They say that definitely we know that religion is not for reservation, but there are castes, like Nadabs, Banjaras, Pinjaras and others who are there in the Muslim, and they are trying to take care of them by constituting separate nigamas or boards, etc., which Karnataka government is known for that. It has created more than 30 to 40 boards to take care of the aspirations of the different caste groups and all that. So between caste and religion, and how Muslims are going to be taken care of, apart from the Supreme Court taking the matter into consideration, I think this is going to be good for the entire country, not necessarily. But as you said, political mileage which BJP government is hoping to gain from this, in the coming elections of 10th May. Perhaps, it is not a setback, I would say. It's only a matter of some kind of warning or some kind of...
See, the whole issue is how does it, Mr. Purana, how does it play itself out in the next 20 days? That's what matters. What happens on the 25th day doesn't matter. There's an old saying, na, कि जिंदगी 4 दिन की और मिलने का वादा किया 5वें दिन का. अब 5वें दिन क्या हो तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है? 4 दिन में है ना स्टोरी तो.
Yeah, 4 दिन का स्टोरी तो सही है, लेकिन गवर्नमेंट का और बीजेपी party, being a party of such kind of strategies in the name of polarization, or I will say telling a message, giving a message to saying that Hindus are well protected and minorities also will be taken care in another way and all that. I think right now the people are seized with who is going to form the government, because this is a tripolar contest. You know that. JDS is emerging as a kind of force to reckon with also from 22 to 32. So if JDS gets 32%, definitely they will stand by Muslims, because JDS has got CM Ibrahim as the chairman of the party also. So the political things, in politics, anything can be created as a mythology or a kind of movement. That kind of political games, the politicians are known for it. But as you put it in the beginning of your words, that there is a setback which BJP has to tackle it. And I'm sure BJP will try to tell the people that we stand for constitution. If the court says, okay, that's allowed, then we will go up to beyond 56 to 60% also and put it in the 9th schedule. These are the kind of new expectations that they will pose. Because that means they will try to, I don't say confuse, they will try to assure even the neglected castes of Islam.
So now, because Mr. Shah and other leaders, I'm saying that the Karnataka elections were about Modi versus appeasement. So Vijay, do you think that Modi?
There's an interesting line which has come up from Amit Shah in Karnataka, and he said that if Congress wins, now that's very unlike Amit Shah. He never uses this word. So he says that if Congress wins, there'll be high cases of corruption and appeasement.
So what happens to this Modi versus appeasement line now? Now the courts have come in.
Well, see, as far as the BJP is concerned, certainly it is trying to make it as a national narrative against the minorities, the way it has worked for it in Uttar Pradesh and worked in other parts of the thing. But the fact is, if you were to just study back how BJP or RSS have tried to cash in on polarization in the state, certainly South India is far different from the way things are in North India, because in South India, there were no scars of partition. There were no scars of, hatred which came because of the large-scale migration which happened during partition. It was relatively a peaceful part of the country where, there was not much of clashes that the 60s or 70s or 80s saw. The only fact that, the BJP had to rely on Tipu Sultan, the only Muslim leader of the South, and try to build stories around him of him being a hate monger and those kind of narratives where they tried to put a split between Vokaliga and the Muslims by creating the story of Ujire Gowda and Nanje Gowda, two mythological warriors who had killed Tipu Sultan because he was against the farmers. So all these things certainly were a well-planned narrative. Unfortunately, it does not work. And that is what is working in favor of H.D. Kumaraswamy. I'm just adding to what Mr. Puranik was saying. The fact that, the working relationship between the Muslims and the Vokaligas in the southern districts is so strong in the farms and the other areas that they have practically worked together despite Hindu-Muslim divides not being, becoming stronger. That is where the BJP tried to split the two castes and communities by hoping that, the Vokaligas will be against the Muslims. So this has not worked over here. And I was also speaking to one of our senior BJP leaders who runs colleges in coastal Karnataka. So he told me very clearly that, what we have done in the past is now actually hitting us back. For the simple reason, he said that in the last 3 years of polarization, most of the engineering colleges and the medical colleges in coastal Karnataka have seen a sharp decline in students from other states because parents are not willing to send them.
Absolutely.
Parents are not willing to send their wards over there. And he said that, it's difficult to fill even 50% of the seats because the fear of, clashes breaking out or the Hindu-Muslim issues coming
so
hijab, strongly.
So can I say hijab politics have come to bite them?
No, or rather I would ask them, is this the reason why the Chief Minister as well as Yedurappa is shying away from mentioning this?
Absolutely. I think Vijay has nailed a very important point. I'm really falling short of time, but Vijay, you really pointed out the, gave us the reason why senior BJP leaders and other people publicly were saying that hijab and halal is not the issue. If that was not the issue, what was happening 2 years ago? And I think business matters. Business matters. Economy matters.
See, certainly this is the thing which is now coming to light, and we see, except for a handful of BJP leaders, most of them are shying away from, enhancing polarization. And while they would want to make it a national election, but the fact is the Congress is sticking to the ground, sticking on the corruption of the 40%, and the other issues. In fact, yesterday also the kind of money that was seized from a couple of officers by the Lok Ayukta once again brings to fore that, corrupt officials and in tandem with politicians are responsible for the kind of mess that the Bangalore city is in. And, imagine if a
Mr.
small
Grover,
level officer.
I'm really
is
sorry. I
found
have
with
to.
one
I'm really sorry. I have to really cut you short. There's another debate which is slated. I think the Supreme Court order has taken everyone by surprise. It has taken perhaps both BJP and Congress by surprise. Thank you very much, Mr. Puranik, Mr. Grover. Thank you so much, both. Ashok and Brijesh. But the fact of the matter is that this debate is not going to go away. Yesterday, BJP leaders were talking about the Karnataka elections all about Prime Minister versus appeasement. So the appeasement part stays. How much this legal story continues to simmer as a political narrative, one will have to wait and watch. But thank you all of you for being with us on our special edition of News 9 Live.